Nightingale, your great sin is to think of yourself as a nightingale. Rossignol, ton grand art est de te prendre pour un rossignol. I forgive you, but, my God, what a dusty smell. Je te pardonne, mais, mon Dieu, quelle odeur de poussière. So this nightingale, italicized in the poem by Emmanuel Hocquard, is of course the stereotype of neo-romantic poetry and of the opera also. And this very small bird has grown, in fact, quite fat with age because it had to contain, like a Russian doll, several other nightingales. First, there's the mythological nightingale called Philomèle, which means who loves to sing. Now, Philomèle was a princess who, her brother-in-law, I think, yeah, it's written, that his brother-in-law raped him savagely and then cut her tongue, sorry. And after the fact, she came back and sang her complaint forever on the crime scene. Besides this mythological nightingale, there's of course a symbolical nightingale, nicknamed Megalorhynchus, big throat, which evokes a melancholy but virtuoso and endless and inextinguishable song. He never stops. There's also, of course, well, different varieties in culture and poetry, like the Chinese nightingale, the Italian nightingale, the French nightingale, the Persian nightingale. They're all different. But in the case of this bad night of Emmanuel Hocquard, the guilty one is probably the British romantic nightingale, whose name, actually in English, nightingale, reminds us that it has an unfortunate tendency to sing at night. And this English nightingale began its career at dusk, announcing love. I quote John Milton. "O nightingale, thou with fresh hope the lover's heart dost fill. Thy liquid notes that close the eye of day portend success in love. Ô rossignol, tu inspires l'espoir au cœur de l'amoureux, et ton couplet liquide, abaissant l'œil du jour, promet le bonheur en amour." And Samuel Taylor Coleridge quotes John Milton, "Sister of lovelorn poets, Philomèle, thou warblest sad thy pity-pleading strains, most musical, most melancholy bird." The quotation from Milton is "most musical, most melancholy bird," this phrase. Sœur du poète amoureux, Philomèle, ton piteux gazouillis, tes accents pitoyables, oiseau très musical et très mélancolique. However, this British romantic nightingale, when night comes, is difficult to observe. So that it becomes the love that which it excites becomes definitely gloomy, and the melancholy in his song becomes radical melancholy, that is the seduction, attraction of another life, of a life elsewhere, a life that would be free and eternal. And the great ancestor of Emmanuel Hocquard Ode Against the Nightingale is, of course, John Keats' Ode to a Nightingale. And John Keats shares with Emmanuel Hocquard in this circumstance a very strong desire to sleep. I quote, "As though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains, that I might drink and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim. Fade far away, dissolve, and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, etc. Away, 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 for I will fly to thee. Now more than ever seems it rich to die, to seize upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art pouring forth thy soul abroad in such an ecstasy. And the conclusion of the poem says, it's not the last line, but it's at the end of the poem. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird. I add the French just for ornamental reasons. I took the trouble of translating it. Comme si j'avais, and I like all these excerpts very much, so I chose them for that. Comme si j'avais bu la ciguë, vidé une fiole de laudanum, je veux boire et quitter ce monde inaperçu, m'évanouir avec toi dans une forêt floue, m'évanouir, me dissoudre, oublier tout ce que jamais tu n'as connu parmi les feuilles, la lassitude. Va-t'en, va-t'en, je vais voler vers toi, plus que jamais mourir paraît royal, arrêter sans douleur sur le coup de minuit, tandis que tu vas déversant ton âme en extase. Tu n'es pas né pour la mort, éternel oiseau. So, nothing or no one will make it shut up, says Emmanuel's ode. And indeed, it's dying hard, and the romantic Nightingale still sang for Paul Verlaine, for instance, although he says, as on the first day, but still with a voice, I would say, a very tired voice, very dim voice. It's a famous sonnet at the end of the, well, the whole is famous, but I just quoted the Nightingale part. Okay, oh yeah, I should translate it. Nothing than the voice, oh so languishing, of the bird which was my first love, and which sings again as on the first day. And the poem ends, the trembling tree and the crying bird. Plus rien que la voix, ô si languissante, de l'oiseau que fut mon premier amour, et qui chante encore comme au premier jour. L'arbre qui frissonne et l'oiseau qui pleure. Okay, so let's summarize. It's unending and singing and melodious complaint. And Emmanuel Hocquard knows of melancholy and of music, but what he cannot stand is complaint and melodic indulgence. So this Anglo-Philomel Nightingale, which has become now covered with cliché and stereotypes and tacky images, has on Emmanuel Hocquard exactly the same effect as the Milanese Nightingale. I don't know if you know who the Milanese Nightingale, Bianca Castafiore, who is a singer in this comic strip that we cherish in France for some reason, Tintin. And whenever the Bianca Castafiore, known as the Milanese Nightingale, enters the picture, the Capitaine Haddock, just as Emmanuel Hocquard, flees. He runs away.